Hi, my name is Andrew, and today we're going to be discussing the M1955 Flak jacket. This one is one that I just got. It's pretty cool. I like it a lot. So first off, let's go over some history. There's a lot of history behind this. It started off in World War II, when some eggheads thought about how to reduce casualties, because obviously, fewer men dying, the better. And they figured, hey, most of our casualties aren't coming from bullets or knives or anything like that. They're coming from fragmentation weapons, such as grenades, artillery strikes, tank shells, whatever it may be. And they figured, hey, we can fix this with a vest. All the most important areas of our body are in this area, the torso. So they figured, hey, we can make this in one singular jacket. We can protect nearly the entire body. So they came up with an entire system, or at least they would come up with an entire system. First would come the M1952, which is a earlier version of this, effectively. It had no collar. It had no shooter's cord. As you can see here, it's right there. And it keeps the sling of my rifle, which my friend Woody here is so generously carrying for me, from sliding off your shoulder. That would suck. You have to pick up your rifle, may even lose it. Somebody might yell at you. Who knows? So that helps. Now, the pockets were not present on the 52, particularly these two. Granted, that's the case as well on the first pattern of M1955 vest, but this in particular is a second pattern model of 55 vest. So, other similarities. There's a lot of those. There's more of those than differences, frankly. There's plates in here. There's a lot of them. There's 14 in total, with 9 around the circumference, around the waist, right about here. 2 more on the chest, and 3 more on the back. So in total, that's a lot of plates, weighs a lot. It's actually about 12 pounds. So in the rest of the areas that aren't covered by the plates, the door-on plates, is ballistic nylon. Is it bulletproof, is what you might be asking? No, it's not. It could stop bullets, maybe, if you're lucky, out a couple of, a few yards out. Or not a few yards out, but a couple dozen yards out, 100 yards or so. I've heard anecdotes of jackets similar to this stopping 7.62 by 39 rounds fired from AKs. Can I verify those? No, I'm an idiot. I don't know how to do that. On that note, do not take anything I say here as gospel. It very well could be wrong. Other similarities include this button and zipper closure system. From what I have heard, I once again cannot verify this, only the buttons would be closed, the zipper would be left open, because that way, in much the same manner as how the M1 chin strap would kind of come off if it hit the ground too hard, so it wouldn't take your head with it when it came off, this could do that as well. So you wouldn't wind up breaking your back or something because your flak jacket took a bad hit and took you with it. So, now some problems with it. Being a big, bulky, heavy piece makes you sweat a lot. It's unpleasant. It's uncomfortable. However, that's, it's alright. It's a small price to pay for not dying. So, a lot of guys in Vietnam were forced to wear this. Army dudes really they had more of an option. They weren't always forced to wear their jackets, and even so, they didn't wear these ones, and they wouldn't choose to wear them normally. Some units did, some units didn't. What else? So, web gear. A very important part of a soldier's equipment is his web gear. This carries all of his ammunition. It may carry his water. It may carry, extra things, such as personal items and bipods. Weird stuff. So, this is terrible to wear with web gear. If you try to put your web gear where it's supposed to go, along the waist, then it really doesn't work. You can't adjust it large enough, or at least with this M1961 belt, it does not adjust large enough to go over these plates. That's a bummer. And this is a medium, by the way. This is the small size that they made at the time. So what you have to do, you can't wear it under the vest, obviously, because then, you wouldn't be able to get to it. And it would also be, uncomfortable again. Probably wouldn't fasten. You have to wear it around your hips. So that's a bit low. It's alright. It's whatever. It doesn't really matter. You can still wear it comfortably, kind of. But it's a little bit more of a hassle than the normal way to wear it. Doesn't distribute the weight as well, but that's alright. It's a small price to pay. So, anyway, let's put this on and talk about it. So I'm going to remove my Airsoft Colt 602. There's quite a few things wrong with that. There's a lot of things wrong with my uniform. You know, we'll go over all that stuff on a later date, because there is a lot of material to go over when it comes to things that I'm doing incorrectly. So first we'll put on the wet gear. Lots of guys would wear the suspenders underneath their flak jacket if they wore them at all. I have a handful of pictures of guys wearing their pistol belts, their webbing above the jackets, but this seemed to be more of an oddity than anything. It didn't seem to be the norm. So now let's put on the flak jacket. You know, if you can't see, I am in fact wearing the belt and suspenders. It's a combination of 1956 and 1961 pouches in a Marine Corps configuration. I'm basing off of one particular dude, so it's not necessarily wrong. In fact, it's exactly what that dude wore, so. Alright, so gotta make sure it's not going to interfere with any of the pouches. And now, I think I've already been over this, but it would only be button closed. So, anyway, let's talk about how it actually feels to wear. It's heavy, obviously, it's 12 pounds. It's really not that bad. It's distributed all over your body, so it could be a lot worse. But, you know, I prefer to not wear it than wear it if I wasn't getting shot at. Inside this pocket right here, I've got some bug juice. Some guys would carry magazines, some guys would carry bug juice, some guys would carry nothing at all. You know, I've seen New Testaments in there too. It just depends on the dude. Depending on what he was carrying too. Like he would just, day to day, might change it out. With the web gear, I can in fact access my 1956 pouches. I can also access my 1961 pouches in the rear. It all works fine, even if it is a little bit weird compared to what I'm used to. I've seen a handful of pictures actually of guys with belts over this, but you know, not with this particular belt. So, all in all, it runs big, really big. I am a small dude, but I'm really not that small. Turning around, you're gonna see, this thing makes me look really large. I am not, in fact, really large. So, it's uncomfortable, it's big. You know, like, a perk of it being big, lots of ventilation, air gets through there pretty easily. But at the same time, it also restricts your mobility. I can't bring my hands out any further than that about, and much further back than that. And the plates shift around as I'm moving. It's kind of loud. And we'll touch on the plates again, actually. So let's talk about what you would have to do in combat. One of the things you would have to do is shoulder and fire your rifle. Let's get that rifle. We'll go into greater detail about this, and once again, what's wrong with it later. Personally, it's pretty comfortable, regardless of whether you like a magwell grip on the handguard like you should have it. You know, trigger discipline wasn't a thing back then. So it's reasonably comfortable. It's not that bad. I'd imagine with something like an M60 or an M14, it would be a lot more comfortable to shoot with a flak jacket between you and the recoil of that 7.62, especially on full auto. So, all in all, this isn't a particularly terrible piece of gear. Personally, I like it quite a lot. This particular jacket is dated to 1968, has very few tears on it. It's in remarkably good shape, actually. I'm very happy with it. So, let's put the rest of the gear on now, shall we? My M1 helmet with a Vietnam-dated cover, and my M1941 haversack. The haversack in particular is absolutely awful to wear with this flak jacket. It is uncomfortable, it pinches your arms, it limits your range of motion much, much more. And I can see why guys would drop this before combat. Let's try to shoulder that rifle again now that I've got all the stuff on. So, rifle's up. It's a lot more uncomfortable. Looking down the sights is more difficult. Bringing it up to my eyes, I mean. This is, all in all, a heavy, uncomfortable setup. But at the same time, I'm sure this thing could mean the difference between life and death. And a lot of guys would choose to wear it because of that. So, one more thing. Let's talk about the complexity of this jacket. It's very complicated. Ballistic nylon all over. Tons of snaps, tons of zippers. You know, we've got buttons, snaps, zippers, all kinds of different closures. And on the inside, what's even worse is the suspension system for the plates. I mean, I've heard stories about these things in the past from people who also own them, but goodness gracious, this is just crazy. It's very complicated. It's almost needlessly so. And it really doesn't do a very good job of keeping them still, keeping them in place, keeping them quiet. You can still hear them clanking around when I move. It's, all in all, it could have been designed better, I think. Does that mean I would rather take this than nothing into a firefight? No, I would rather take this. This is much better than nothing at all. Even if it couldn't stop bullets, even if it couldn't, necessarily do that, it could very well mean the difference between life and death for grenades and artillery, like we've been over. 70% of combat fatalities are from fragmentation devices, which can be stopped using this, as it notes on the tag. So, let's go over the tag now. That's pretty cool. Being a nearly mint condition flak jacket, the tag on this is in gorgeous shape. I have never seen one this good. So, I'm going to remove the jacket. We'll bring it up close and we'll take a look. So, right there. Important. Armor, body, fragmentation protective. Upper torso with collar, M1955. So 70% of all combat fatalities, all that stuff, all that good stuff. So it may save your life, U.S. Marine Corps. These were used almost exclusively by the Marines. Army guys did use them occasionally, but most of the time, if you saw a Marine with a flak jacket, it was an M1955 jacket. So this particular model, once again, is dated May 7th of 1968. Very cool. Nice thing about these is very convenient. They have the date just written out on them. You don't have to decipher it from the DSA or the contract number or whatever it may be, the FSN. The size medium, and these do run very large. I normally wear medium in terms of jackets, shirts, all that stuff, and this runs big. So let's get our friend Woody back here. Let's give him back all the stuff, and that will be all. So if you guys want any more absolutely gripping content like this, check out my friend Death in Plyku and Pepsi Boy, who is a guy who makes excellent content, I must say. He also has a Marine Corps impression, and frankly can teach you a lot more than I can. So, anyway, thanks for watching. I've been Andrew. This has been great.